We're live.
I know we are.
We're live.
I know.
What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the podcast, Fish Life Podcast. Hey, spawning season's officially begun at Lake Fork, and it's seemingly everywhere else. This is going to be a very special week for 2021 bass fishing, no matter where you are, unless you're up north. Down here, where we care about in the south, where the bass grow big, this is going to be a special week for everybody involved. So spawning season's here at Lake Fork and everywhere else. You are listening to
The Fish Life Podcast.
lowest budget, actually live podcast that exists. This is the lowest budget. In fact, Chris, we're going to show you our fancy setup that we created tonight to send you guys. Check this out if you're watching on YouTube.
Don't go screenshotting your screens now, but
Look at that.
as you can see,
That's our setup.
that's our
There's
stand.
an empty country crock bucket. There's a pocket knife, a remote control, and a can of dip involved, and that's our camera stand.
And if you work at IKEA, I don't even want to see this on the shelf next week. It
This
better
is
not be.
patent pending.
Yeah.
We've submitted the paperwork.
Copyright scene.
No doubt about it. So
That's right.
we are the lowest budget actually live, and that makes all you guys low ballers. So welcome back to the L ball, you bunch of low lifers or low,
right.
low ballers.
We
We're just gonna go ahead and steal all of his stuff and just go ahead and say low lifers. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. Totally kidding. Hopefully Luke doesn't get too mad at me about this. I kind of feel like he's angry at me.
I don't know, man. One thing I've always said is, like I used to argue with an ex-girlfriend of mine all the time about she'd say I sounded a certain way in a text message, and I'm like, oh, you could hear me talking when I type that? You know what I mean? You just
Yeah, there's
never
no
know.
tone involved in text.
Context can be taken.
Okay,
Yeah.
off the rails real quick because that's what we do.
Yeah.
No tone in text is a real problem.
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell you how many times I say things in a text message and whoever I'm talking to gets offended when I'm laughing.
Yeah.
Like, it happens all the time. Speaking of that,
Yeah.
that apparently kind of happened this week
Yeah. Yeah.
with none other than Luke Duncan.
The Luke Duncan.
Obviously, we did a whole podcast episode right after it happened about the Ben Milliken 60-pound day. And last week, Ben was on Luke's podcast, and they were talking about this day. And Luke had made a comment about this was the biggest bag of bass that's ever been caught and recorded on camera. Well, A, that's not exactly true. Okay, it is. Butch Brown had self-proclaimed 65-pound best five bag.
Correct.
Didn't weigh the fish on camera, didn't even catch him on camera. Like, I understand all that. But everybody took him at his word because Butch Brown is a legend. Has caught so many giant fish, he really has no reason to lie about it, you know. He didn't have anything to prove, I don't think. So I think everybody kind of accepted it as real, the 65-pound Butch Brown bag. And so a 60-pound bag is not as big as a 65-pound bag, and it was recorded on camera. Just him holding the fish up and showing it to the camera. There was some camera documentation. So I make a comment that says something along the lines of, come on, guys, Butch Brown caught 65 pounds. Basically trying to insinuate, listen, I love all y'all at 6 cents, but quit acting like y'all did something big that hadn't been done before. Now, I said that with a wink in mind, as in, it's no big deal. Who can possibly talk trash about a 60-pound day?
Right.
By the way, 2 weeks before this, I already did a podcast for an hour and a half talking about how this was the greatest documentation of trophy bass fishing that has ever existed.
Correct.
And that it would be once it came out. We talked to Kelly Jordan about it for a long time. Kelly Jordan agreed. Like, we went on and on and on about how awesome this was and that this was the best fishing day ever recorded on film. We said all that. Yeah. So I make a comment just jokingly. Yeah. Probably didn't word it correctly. Whatever. Right. There's no tone in text. And then, oh man.
Yeah, that was a good comeback.
Luke fired a shot. Actually, I thought he got the joke and was joking back with me, but I guess maybe it wasn't because rumor has it there were some guys that were actually upset about this, but about my comment. But Luke said, hey, Billy, thanks for stopping by. Your input here was incredible. ... Like your podcast.
Yeah, when I read that, I went,
ooh. Bro, I even texted him. I was like, that was well played, sir.
Yeah.
Nicely done. And I guess he really was mad because he didn't even respond to the text or anything. I don't know. Then Ben Milliken commented on it. Bateman, Baxter Bateman, all of the 6 Cents guys that were there commented on it like they were mad at me. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, I was just kidding. And I did text Ben about it, and he did respond. And yeah, he said it's all good. I mean, of course it is. It was just joking around. Jeez.
Of course it is. You just caught 60 pounds.
Yeah.
It's on your best 5.
Who could not?
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole point of the joke. Who could actually
Yeah.
knock that?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah, if I catch 60 pounds on camera ever, or if I catch 60 pounds, period, ever, and y'all ever see me upset about anything, do me a favor and just smack me upside my
Remind you
head.
60 times?
Yeah, 60 like birthday spankings. Just
Bro, let's
beat
be
me
real. If you
repeatedly.
catch 6 pounds on camera, you're going to get excited.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. I'll be ecstatic. I'll throw a party. It'll be in the Tyler paper.
I think that's a more realistic goal you should strive for. 6 pounds.
Speaking of 6 pounds, I had nowhere to go with that.
Yeah,
But anyway.
that's about how much I caught at Rayburn over the last few days. Man,
Ooh, yeah. But, okay.
I am worried about next week. I feel like I'm going to be embarrassed in a tournament setting again because I did not do very well in practice.
So
at San
we were
Rayburn.
talking about this today, though. It is the calm before the storm.
It is. It is.
And-
Somebody said, "Where's the brown water at?" It's right here, dog. Where it always is, in my cup. We go through this a little bit every year.
Correct.
Right before it really busts loose as far as spawning activity, it's almost like the fish go into kind of a hold. Like it happens. There's a little bit of a lull before the storm when it comes to all the fish rushing to the bank. Or a lot. You know, obviously fish will be spawning through April and May and all that.
The word cruising, a good word to use?
Yeah, just transitioning, spread out, transitioning, inactive. They've kind of done all their pre-spawn feeding they're going to do. There's just a huge amount of fish that had moved in that were pre-spawn feeding.
Yeah.
They're just on pause right now because it's about to go down. Like the weather we have this week, the time of year it is with the daylight period growing a lot every day, and there's a new moon at the end of the week.
That's right.
Saturday, there's a new moon. The only thing that could line up any better is if this new moon was a full moon. And this exact scenario happened last year with a full moon, and the result on Lake Fork was the first day of the MLF tournament.
That's right.
Where MDJ sat in a ditch smaller than the kitchen we're sitting in now and caught 80-something pounds out of one ditch because there were fish just flooding in there and aggressive to get on beds. And that's what's going to happen this week. Like, it's spring break in East Texas. Like, these fish are screwed this week. Bro, it's spring break this week in Texas. The weather's lining up. All the fish are about to run to the bank and get aggressive. And there's going to be more boats on the lake this week, on all of our lakes this week, than there is any other week of the year in East Texas. Like, it is going down.
And guess where I'll be all weekend long?
Oh, I know. You're going to be on Lake Fork.
That's right.
I get it. I'm going to be on Rayburn next week. So, the deal is, on Rayburn, I've just been down there practicing the last few days. I didn't catch any fish, big fish at all. None. And you guys will see all this on the video when they come out, not this week, but the next week, after we finish the tournament. But I got a pattern where I could catch some males consistently. Now, the problem was I spent a lot of time looking at other stuff trying to figure out a way to catch bigger fish.
Yeah.
But I did get a repeatable pattern across the lake where I could catch small fish, 2-pounders, 1-pounders, stuff like that. So I guess maybe this is honestly what I think, but I'm also self-aware enough to realize that I'm probably having a little bit of wishful thinking in this process, hoping that this is what's happening. But I really do think what's going to happen is, with the weather pattern that we're about to have and everything set up just like we just talked through, everywhere those male fish were, there's going to be bigger fish, partners, girlfriends coming in there to join them throughout this week. And so I think if I can just go back through those areas and fish a swim bait, fish a frog, fish bigger fish baits, that we're going to have a chance to go in there and catch some decent fish. And if we don't, we don't. That's the best I got because I couldn't find anything else. I don't know if I just sucked. I know everybody I talked to while I was down there was like, man, it was tough. It was tough. I mean, there was only 4 bags over 20 pounds in a BFL that has hundreds of boats, hundreds of boaters. I don't know how many. It's usually over 200 down there. But, you know, Castledine caught 23 pounds. He finished second. Mm-hmm. He went, from what I heard, he went way up the river somewhere and found some early fish that were already spawning. That's how he caught that weight. That makes total sense. He's in an area where the females have already come in and gotten in that aggressive mode.
That's right.
Makes perfect sense. I think the areas that I was finding fish in, smaller fish, are going to get bigger fish showing up because they're spawning areas. Like, it's flooded cypress trees and buckbrush and hay grass and a little bit of coontail and hydrilla scattered around. Like, it is spawning grounds. It's very shallow water, flat, you know. So I'm hopeful, but I'm also very leery and very concerned about what we have going on at Rayburn. It's not
Ideal.
I don't feel great. The 5 day off limits plays a big factor in this too, because if I could go out there and fish the day or two before the tournament, then obviously I would know I need to go find something else right now. But as I was there for a few days and I was struggling, my mind starts working and I'm like, even if I go find some offshore fish,
They might be gone.
even if I find some staging fish on some deeper grasslands or something at the mouth, they're going to leave that over these 5 days. More than likely with the 80
This
down
weather,
there,
yeah.
it's going to be 80 something degrees Thursday and Friday before the tournament.
Yeah. This weather is the best we've had all
Yeah,
year as far
yeah.
as warming the water column.
Yes, we're going to have very, very warm nights. Now, up here, we're going to have enough rain. It won't warm as dramatically.
Correct.
Down there, it's going to be sunny and 80 degrees the 2 days before the tournament. It's going to be sunny and 60 or 70 the other days. Like, that water down there is going to skyrocket. In warm nights, we got 63-degree nights down there.
Yeah.
When you have that warm nights, that water is going to skyrocket up. And I don't think that if I found any staging fish, they'd still be there. I don't.
No.
So that's why, even though I spent way too much time looking for better fish and fish some offshore stuff, fish some staging stuff, all that stuff, I really, as it went on, I kind of realized it's probably a waste of my time. And I really wish that I would have just worried on finding more shallow fish, because that's where they're going. And that's kind of, I've never fished a tournament where you have to have 5 days off limits until this year. And I've only done it once at the Bass Champs in January, and it screwed me. Like, I wasn't prepared for it. So this time I'm trying to be a little more prepared for it with my thought process, but it's just a learning experience for me. I've never had to go off limits where I couldn't go look at the water at all the week of the tournament. I've never done that before.
And
Because even when I worked a regular, sorry, I didn't mean to cut
No,
you
you're
off.
good.
Even when I worked a regular job and I fished like little jackpots or whatever I fished, I would always go out for a few hours after work the week of the tournament,
if nothing else, just to gather.
just looking around, man, just getting a feel for the. And you can't do that. It's really if y'all can't tell, it's spinning your boy out. I've never had to do this. It's really got me confused.
I do get why they do it. I get the reason behind it. I really do.
I do too.
And you know, that's all fine and great. You know, who am I to sit here and judge?
I mean, it's the most successful team trail ever.
Who am I to judge them?
They do it right.
You know, they do it so the locals don't have just a huge advantage
Well,
and all that good stuff. But
They do it so a dude that works Monday through Friday
correct, has a fair chance.
can compete against a dude like Castledine.
Right, exactly.
Or me that I could, if they didn't have off limits, be at Rayburn all week.
Yeah.
If I wanted to.
Yeah, and that's fair because you know, in the professional trails, you know, they can practice up till the day of, but those guys are also spending every single day on the water.
And they're all getting to do it.
Exactly.
They all are.
Right. So
none of them are skipping practice.
it is a disadvantage, but I do understand why they do it, and sometimes we just got to deal with the cards we're dealt.
Yeah. You know what I wish they would do is what Texas Team Trail does, which is if you are pre-registered and prepaid, you can hit the water the day before the tournament.
Yeah.
If you've already paid your entry fee.
Yeah.
That makes sense, and that seems fair. That seems reasonable. It's still, I get it. If a guy's driving from Houston and he works Friday in Houston till 5 o'clock, he's not going to be able to get out there, and he's at a disadvantage if I do. So it's, you know, up for debate, I guess. I get why they do it, and like I said, Bass Champs is the most successful team trail, really, I think, probably in the history of bass fishing.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if you look at everything that they do, they're as good as it gets on a team trail for bass fishing. So, not knocking them in any way. They do a great job. And it is a great event to fish. It's a lot of fun. So they hold a great event. But yeah, I mean, other than that, man, every chance y'all get this week and next week, go fishing.
Come holler at your boy at Lake Fork. I'll be launching out of Oak Ridge every single day.
It's and if you're at Rayburn at Bass Champs next week, holler at your other boy, because I'll be down
That's
there.
right.
But it is the week, man. This is the week.
And I would like to, can I go ahead and apologize early?
Yeah.
Okay.
And before we move on, it'll get better later in the week.
Yes. Later in the week. It's drastically better, but from Thursday to Saturday morning, that's going to be.
Yeah, even Sunday I think is going to be really good the day after.
Yeah,
the
I mean,
full moon.
I think that, you know, once some fish make that move and there's going to be a ton of fish just storming the banks, I think once they get there, they're locked in. They ain't got no choice. Yeah. So.
And those water temperatures rising are going to get them more aggressive.
Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to throw that wacky worm.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, swim bait's probably the way to go. That was my best bait at Rayburn. I just, this time of year, a weedless small swim bait, you can throw it in all that stuff.
Yeah.
In all that stuff. Whatever because they're getting so shallow, they're getting all this flooded cover. All this shoreline grass is starting to make a comeback, you know, as the water warms up. that cover's going to be thick up there on the bank where they're at. You can take that weedless swim bait and go over it, under it, around it, through
You
it.
talking about like a weedless 3.5 divine swim bait?
Like a 5-inch. I throw a 5-inch just to try to get a little bigger bite. But yeah, like the whale.
Yeah.
The whale's the one I was throwing at Rayburn, and that's probably what we're going to be fishing next weekend. Mostly is the whale.
I've got
The little hollow belly is the water warms up and gets established and stays in the 60s. That hollow belly will really be a player. It is every year for me. But I mean, Kitech, whatever, a little 5-inch swim bait.
What about that little 4-inch hollow body from Smash Tech?
That's what I just said.
Oh, that one?
Hollow belly.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm
Smash
sorry.
Tech hollow belly.
Yeah. Got you. Tenfold. I would like to apologize to any kayakers that I beat to a hole. If I see you move in, I know there's a big kayak tournament out there.
There is.
If you move in, I will get out of your way. I assure you.
They've got a giant kayak tournament that they do every year at Fork, and that is going to be this weekend. And for those guys that are doing that, man,
Good luck.
Everything that we just said, this plays in y'all's wheelhouse because you can take them yaks
Up there where we
and
can't
get back in that junk, dog. Like back in that junk. Those yaks are a good tool. Now, I'm never going to do it because I'm never going to fish out of a kayak.
I won't
Promise you, I'll fall out.
I can't even sit in a chair for an extended period of time.
I know.
Yeah. No, if there's any kayaks in the area I'm fishing and y'all trying to move in, I will get out of your way because I do respect that y'all are fishing for money.
A big tournament.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. I think it's like a national championship. It usually is.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. There's guys from all over the country that come in for this thing.
Dude, I had a guy call the business phone the other day. He's from like Missouri, and they're coming down to fish this deal.
Yeah, no, they come from all over the country. This is like
Crazy.
their national tournament. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
So
and they
good-
go off inches,
Yes.
not weight.
Yeah, that's right. And good luck to all those guys. Advice, I mean, we've been talking about it. Spawning activity, shallow water, swim bait, frog, and also tune back in Thursday night for our live stream. We'll talk more about it after I've had a chance to get back on Fork a couple days, which I will do this week. I've got to go get a new boat on Tuesday, finally.
Big John.
Big John. He is a kayak guy.
He's the biggest kayaker I
He
know.
said, screw them kayak guys. He's a kayak guy. That's funny.
Yeah. So you're getting your new boat finally.
Tuesday.
Man,
It's been a mess.
what a time to be alive.
Bro, I've been without a boat and everything's developing springtime. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like getting to me bad.
You think finding the fish on the Rayburn had your boys spun out? Try leaving them at home without a boat for how many weeks now? 2.5?
It'll be 2.5 by the time I get it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was the Friday before the ice storm was when I sold my other boat.
That's right. Which at the beginning of the ice storm, you're like, well played.
We got a whole week, man. It was the best week to not have a boat ever.
But then realization sets in and goes, okay, so wait a minute. If I didn't go to work, anybody that has
Nobody
anything to do
shipped.
with
Nobody
anything-
shipped my brackets. Nobody
Yeah.
shipped my electronics. My
Nobody
trolling motor.
went to work.
My trolling motor was still in California. Like I didn't know what was going on. But yeah, and then the next week it hits 80 degrees and warms right back up, and I'm not fishing very much. And I'm like, oh my god, this is not good.
Well, I can assure you, the fishing, I can't necessarily speak for Fork. I don't get to fish it as much as I'd like to, but the fishing ain't just been dynamite everywhere. So
There were some days where it was warm, where it was good
Yeah.
though. I guarantee you.
Oh, it had to have been.
I know it was.
Had to have been.
Some guys have been catching them a little bit. I know, and I've seen some guys catching them. So, as far as tournament talk, let's talk tournaments for a little bit. The Elite Series has got Pickwick coming up.
yeah,
And with this weather that we've got, that ought to be really, really fun. And I don't know that we've ever seen a professional level, or at least it's not in recent memory. There hasn't been any Pickwick tournaments this time of year.
no, it's usually a ledge fest when they go to
Usually a summer deal. They always want to do it there in the summer.
June, July.
So this will be interesting because you'll have guys that are local there that I feel like will have a bigger advantage because there's going to be a lot of guys on that tour that aren't from that area
Correct.
that haven't fished it in the spring. They've only fished it in the summertime because that's when the tournaments are. So there is going to be some local advantage, I think, to some of that.
Yeah, I think so.
What do you think?
Well, because like you said, if I'm on the Elite Series and I'm fishing, Pickwick every year in June, July, whatever, I'm gonna have waypoints on my graph, but none of them are gonna be spawning areas. They're all gonna be ledges where
Yeah.
fish tend to congregate.
You're not even going to look at that
You're
in
not-
June.
No, why would you?
You're not even going to take a glance at
Yeah.
it. So that'll be an interesting event. I think they'll catch them really. I think some guys will get on them and catch them really well. Obviously, that time of year is kind of good everywhere in the South, and Pickwick's a great lake, so I think it'll be a really good tournament to watch.
Watch out for your river rats. Your John Coxes, your
Yeah.
Patrick Walters.
And just, I mean,
Shallow water
we say
bass.
the locals, like half the field lives in Alabama.
Yeah, that's true.
So, like half the Bassmaster field lives in Alabama, really close. So there's a lot of local advantage in that field, no doubt. No
Hackney
doubt.
will have a good day.
I don't think Hackney's going to have any bad days this year.
I don't think he is either.
He had a top 10 in an open, at Harris Chain.
Harris Chain.
So was it Harris Chain?
It was Harris Chain. It was either Harris Chain or
one of them Florida chains.
Yeah, I think it was Harris Chain.
Yeah, because they're St. John's only this series. It was Harris Chain.
Yep.
There was a Harris Chain open this weekend. Hackney had another top 10. Patrick Walters
Top 5.
had a top 5.
Actually, had a top 3.
Bro, those two, yeah, he was third. Those two guys, jeez, man. Those two guys are just on fire right out of the gates.
It's gonna be fun to watch because John. There was another.
Hackney finished 13th. He was outside the top 10. That's right. He did finish 13th. That is true. I misspoke there. I misremembered is what I did.
I hate misremembering.
I misremembered. Yeah.
Porosnik had a top 10.
Prosnick had a top 10, which he needs it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we know Sam George at 12. Come on.
Yeah, it's the Opens are still a pretty interesting field. There's still a lot of good names in that field.
Keith
They're
Poche.
very, very interesting. YouTube watch. There's a couple big YouTube guys that are doing that.
Rob's in there.
The deal is, it doesn't mean that they're not good fishermen. So I don't want anybody to take that, what I'm about to say is that in any way. But Rob Turkland, Oliver Nye, Big Bass Dreams, and Lunkers TV are two major players in the YouTube world. Rob's as big as anybody in the YouTube world in fishing, like maybe the biggest, honestly. I think he might be.
1.89 million followers.
Yeah, like 2 million followers. It's crazy. And Oliver Nye is real famous, and he's got a lot of subscribers too. I don't know exactly how many he has these days, but he has the biggest cast to catch documentation, the biggest bass in the history of YouTube. I believe it's 17 and change. Mm-hmm. I don't remember his was bigger or that other guy from California. They called it 17. I don't remember which one was bigger. Anyway, he's got a 17 pounder.
Yeah.
And that kind of blew him up years ago. And then he's taken it and run from there and caught a gazillion giant bass on camera since then. Really good California angler, big bait guy. Man, they are struggling.
Yeah.
Them dudes are struggling. They're finishing below 100th. And I'm going to tell you something right now. It has nothing to do with how good or bad of a fisherman they are. Fishing a multi-day event, showing up to a lake with a couple days to practice, few days to practice, and that's it, and then fishing for multiple days, it's a whole different ballgame if you've never done it. You know, they've fished a certain way. They've had time to prepare. They've gone there for one day. They get to talk to somebody that's local, whatever, and they go whack them on camera because that's their job.
That's right.
That's totally different than showing up to a place that you maybe have never seen and just figuring it out. And with all the boats in these events, 200 and something boats in these Opens, 200 something boats in these Toyota series. And it's not just that there's 200 boats. It's that these guys all know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So to find something that they don't is basically impossible, especially when you're new to the fishery and new to the game.
So
there's nobody that jumps out into one of those levels of competition
and just runs
and goes.
Yeah.
Now, some of the guys that end up being the best, you go look at the beginning of their career, and at every level they struggle in the beginning, and then they get better. It happens, man.
The best way that I describe this to people when they're like, oh, you know, if I'm talking to somebody about it that's a fishing fan and pays attention to the professional level tournament scene, they're like, oh, well, he sucked on that tournament. Yeah, okay. How many times have you gone and pre-fished your home lake, and then on tournament day you sucked? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this guy's going to a body of water he may never even have launched his boat at in his life, and he had 4 days to practice.
I mean, I would almost bet that neither Oliver or Rob have been on the Harris Chain.
No. I would imagine.
Why would they?
Yeah.
Why would they? When they go to Florida, they go to South Florida to the big name fisheries.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's just the way I always break it down to people, and it makes a lot more sense that way. Big
John made a comment, said, I've watched Rob and he is inside his own head. I haven't gotten it's a pretty busy time of year. I haven't got much time to watch a lot of YouTube videos, but you saying he's inside his own head, I can believe that. And I would say that the pressure that he feels to perform, he has nothing to gain, honestly.
No.
If he goes out and wins the Opens, what's he going to do? Get 2.1 million followers?
Right.
Like, his business is so big and beyond anything he can accomplish. Like, what he does as a business is so big and beyond anything he can accomplish in bass fishing, tournaments, that he has virtually nothing to gain. He's doing this strictly as
It's a personal.
it's like a point of pride. He wants to prove it to himself.
Yeah.
And so he's also, now if he goes out there and bombs the whole year, then he's gonna, because being as big as he is, he gets a ridiculous amount of hate. Mainly from the tournament fishing. The older established tournament fishing community is mainly where the hate comes from. Right. So if he goes out and bombs all year, they are going to rain fire down on him relentlessly. You know what I mean? Which in the end doesn't matter, and Rob knows it doesn't matter, and he doesn't care. I'll know him well enough though. He does not care about any of that. But
nor should he.
But I can tell you from the little bit of views and following that we have here on what we do, you cannot care all you want to. You can block it out and be like, man, these guys, they're angry about something going on in their life. It's their own personal problems that are reflecting in public. You can make sense of all of it and ignore it. But you can only hear so much negativity about you for so long before eventually it does start to get to you in some way. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, if I do that, it's not going to bother you. No. And if I do that, it's not going to bother you. But if I do this for long enough, you're going to want to do something about it. Yeah. And that's kind of how these hater, I hate that term, so dumb. But these hater comments or whatever, the people that spew the negative stuff out there online, it's kind of how that works. Or even just in the Lake Fork guide world, the people that talk about you behind your back or make Facebook comments on other posts about you or whatever. Like when we went down there and bombed at Rayburn, there was a guy that guides on Lake Fork that literally screenshotted our standings and made a post about, check out the 2 Lake Fork hammers, talking about me and John Bowling. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, one of that guy's really good friends finished below us. Yeah. So, he didn't screenshot that guy's finish, but he screenshotted ours. It's just, that one thing's not a big deal. No. 100 of those things isn't a big deal. 2, 3, 4 years of it relentlessly, at some point you just want to say something back, you know? Yeah. You just want to put your side of it out there. You want to stand up for yourself. And that's all it is for me when I get frustrated by it. So I just want to make sure that my side of the story is also out there, not just the negativity they're spewing. Right. Because basically what you do, you sit there and let them spew negativity and you just sit there and take it. Like, that's how you're supposed to handle it. That's the right way to handle it, is just take it, don't react to it. That's what everybody tells you. Man, that's really hard to do. And so, man, I went off on a tangent here, on a personal tangent. This is supposed to be about YouTubers that are way bigger than I am. And they got way bigger issues with that than I do, obviously. But I hope those guys come around and do good, because I have fished with Rob. He is a better fisherman for sure than what he's showing so far. Like, I have no doubt about that. I've been in the boat 7 or 8 times, full days with Rob. The guy can fish. Like, it's not like he's terrible at fishing by any means. Now, is he one of the world's best on the tournament level? I don't know. You know, that's up to him to prove. But he's not as bad as what he's shown so far. I just think anybody that jumps into that level of fishing, man, you're going to struggle for a little while. Yeah, the learning curve, exactly. Long rant to say they just need some time.
Anybody that has done any kind of research on those Florida lakes, like the Harris Chain and Kissimmee and even Okeechobee for that matter, I don't think people really realize how much actual dead water is in that lake.
And it's a lot of here today, gone tomorrow. Like, there's a lot of randomness to Florida. In Florida, you either are on them or you are absolutely not.
That's right.
Is what I've always heard. Now, I've never fished down there, but that's what everybody says.
But I've followed enough bass fishing to know that that's the deal.
I'll tell you, there's another event coming up that I'm pretty excited to watch, and the Bass Pro Tour, the MLF Bass Pro Tour is going to be on Sim Rayburn starting March 21st.
That's going to be a hammer fest.
Yeah, and with this weather that we got coming, I don't think there'll be some spawning fish, because it's that time of year. There won't be like a huge wave of spawners, because that new moon's coming like the 28th or something like that. Yeah. Somewhere around there.
Full moon is
the full moon's going to be right around the 28th. Yep. So it'll be after their event. So I think they'll have more, some of these fish that are going to spawn this weekend will be post-spawn. And I think they will have some spawning fish. And, of course, there'll be a ton of fish shallow. But Rayburn's in really good shape. It's full. There's flooded hay grass and buckbrush and cypress trees everywhere you go, pretty much.
Everything looks fishy.
Yeah,
So basically, the whole lake looks like Birch Creek.
the whole lake's looking real fishable for what's going on over the next few weeks when they're going to be there. I guarantee you we're going to see some great frog catches in that event. Probably going to see what we talked about tonight: frogs, swim baits, flipping. Dude, there's going to be especially in their format, there's going to be dudes with that trolling motor on just doing this, flipping all day, flip, 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 flip. Reaction bite, fall fast, catch them quick, boom, boom, boom. Hey, Andy Morgan, that's right in his wheelhouse. He loves to do that, flip like that. Brian Thrift has a good history at Rayburn, and he's a heck of a flipper. Now, I think for their format, that flipping deal is probably going to be the deal.
Yeah.
Probably going to be a deal.
I'd venture to probably say, yeah.
I bet you'll see a lot of guys in that Rayburn event. Now, that's a couple weeks away, but anyway, I'm just really looking forward to that event because the way Rayburn is setting up and shaping up for them. So,
If it was 2 weeks later, I'd say that some of them offshore guys would run away with it. But
yeah,
we
would probably need to get kind of towards the end of April before that offshore deal would really be the deal.
Yeah. I mean,
Usually the month of April, like when you get from like March 20 to like the end of April, it's like the prime shallow water, everything's on the bank time of year.
Yeah.
By the time you get to that last week or so of April, that's when you start getting, in my experience, those first decent small groups of fish offshore.
But they're all big.
They're all big and they all eat.
Yeah.
They all eat.
Yeah.
They all eat. So it'll be a fun one to watch. I'm looking forward to that one, no doubt about it.
What was I going to say? Did you say something about a frog?
Yeah.
I got me some Vega frogs the other day.
I'm gonna be throwing a frog on Rayburn this weekend in that tournament a little bit.
Yeah.
And I didn't even throw it this weekend. I'm just thinking with the warm up,
Yeah.
it's going to be right. I mean, I did see water temps over 60 in some areas. So
Well, y'all better go get you some Vega frogs before they run back out again.
yeah, they're about to be gone.
Yeah, because I got some the other day, and be sure to type in that code too. Your Lake Fork Guide gives you a 10% discount on all your Vega frog needs.
That's right.
Come
Anthony Carbajal says so. The last week of March, we'll miss the spawn on Fork. No, not at all. The spawn will be going through May. I think there's a lot of people out there, and I know the majority of people understand that the spawn spreads out. There's multiple waves and all that, but it seems like there's a lot of people that think all the fish spawn at the same time. Guys, we have had some fish spawning since late January, off and on. There's some fish that have been spawning right now. I saw 2 fish on beds at Rayburn 2 days ago.
I'm pretty sure when I fished a tournament last weekend on Lake Tyler, I'm pretty sure that fish I caught was on a bed.
Yeah.
In 51-degree water.
It happens.
Yeah.
The daylight period dictates that some of them start spawning. Now, this week, the end of this week will be the first major wave, like big, huge wave across most of the lakes, across most of the lake, where you'll have fish spawning all up and down the lake pretty much by the end of the week. It'll be the first major wave. But that's why I said on the MLF deal, they'll have more staging fish because there'll be another major wave that comes on March 28th with that full moon. 2 weeks after that, there'll be another major wave in the middle of April on a new moon. 2 weeks after that, there'll be another major wave at the end of April. And then there'll probably be one more big wave in the middle of May. That's usually how it works. And then at the end of May, there's a few still left spawning, but not very many. That's generally how the spawn in Northeast Texas works. Now, on Rayburn, it may wrap up a little bit earlier in the year because it's a little warmer down there at times. But
A little bit more
for
southern.
Fork,
Yep.
the spawn basically middle of March, middle of May. There's always going to be a lot of spawning fish from mid-March to mid-May on Fork most of the time.
The best time to fish Fork, in my opinion, I'll give you 3 different times. The whole entire month of February.
Pre-spawn.
Pre-spawn.
Yeah.
Heavy pre-spawn.
Depending on the weather you get that day.
Correct.
You roll the dice and
Yeah.
booking February trips for if you're traveling to Fork.
Right.
You can get crapped on by the weather real hard in February. But you can also have the best fishing of your life,
Correct.
of the year
Correct.
on Fork if you catch it right. So
The end of March.
yeah,
Typically.
I always tell people the most consistent fishing is March 20 to June 10.
That's right. And then I'm going to say the end of April, middle to end of April, because that time of year you can catch them literally any way you want to. You can go offshore, you can go shallow, you can bed fish, you can go frog,
Yeah.
whatever you want to do. Swim baits, those are the 3 times a year, in my opinion. And
May is awesome. You just catch them however you want to.
yeah,
however you, it doesn't even matter. Like, what do you like doing the most? Let's go do that.
Oh, you want to throw a Texas rig today? Cool, let's go.
We got
you want to go bed fishing? All right, cool, let's
you
go.
want a deep crank?
Yeah.
We got it.
Okay.
We got it.
10-4.
I don't know why you would, but you want to throw a drop shot?
Yeah.
I don't know why you would, but anyway.
I'm over here getting giddy because I'm going fishing this weekend, and I'm actually getting to fish like Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Getting it.
Getting it. I don't get to do that much.
Let's go.
So
love it. So Bustin' Outdoors is asking about temperatures, water temperatures on Fork. Guys, one thing about this time of year, that water temperature is going to vary widely, more so now than any other time of year. We just came out of that hard freeze. Water temps got super low, but it turned around the very next week. We had 80-degree weather. And so what happens is that shallow water fluctuates much more than the main lake water. And I'm talking about extremely shallow, like the back corners of pockets. I saw, a foot of water, right. So I see guys on here reporting that, 51, 54 main lake. I've been down at Rayburn, so I haven't been on Fork the last few days, but I'm sure that's about right. That sounds about right. And then I see guys talking about 57, 58 in pockets. Hold up, dog. Let me talk to you a little bit. Hold on just a minute. Because I ain't been there, but I can tell you something. There is 60.
I'd say I have
60 something degree water on plenty of areas of Fork if you go look in the right areas.
I have a picture of 61 on my phone from last Thursday.
Yeah, exactly. So what I was going to say is I went out last Tuesday, I believe it was, and filmed the fish tracking video. Now, the ice just broke a few days before we went out on Tuesday.
3 days?
Like Saturday-ish, Sunday-ish, the ice broke. And we were out there Tuesday, and we went to the back of one pocket on Tuesday and found 58-degree water at the end of the day. 58-degree water 3 days after the ice broke. Because those 80-degree days, that shallow water will warm up so quick.
Especially if it's got a little bit of color to it.
I know we haven't had the hugest warming weather, but we had some sunshine and some 60s last few days. And, man, there's definitely some water on Fork. I can't imagine there's not water on Fork. It's probably in the mid-60s, honestly. Low to mid-60s in areas. And there are fish that are spawning right now on Fork in the right areas. Like I said, Castledine finished second or third in that BFL yesterday.
Yeah, second.
He was sight fishing. He went way up the river. Went up the river where the fish started spawning earlier, where it gets warmer. Shallower water warms quicker. And there was fish spawning. Rumor has it, he was up there sight fishing for them. So they say in practice he wasn't even touching a pole. He would just cruise around, push pole around, spotting them. Didn't even pick up a rod. That's fishing stories, but it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can, this time of year, you can basically find whatever water temp you want to. Like, if you want to fish cold water staging fish, you can. If you want to go look for early spawners, you can.
If I'm not fishing a whole lot this time of the year and the weather's doing what it's doing, I'm going to the northwest end of the lake, as far back as I can go, and I'm looking at water temps, and I'm putting my sunglasses on, and I'm just looking around.
And the key component to add to that is to find the slightly cleaner water in those areas that are warm.
That's right.
The warmest, cleanest water will be the best water for that pattern, for the early spawners.
Correct. That actually leads us into one of our sub questions.
Is it?
Yes.
So, we got some sub questions. Let's go.
So, sub number 41269, the best spring search bait.
Small weedless swim baits. Those 4 to 5 inch weedless swim baits. You can throw them, what I said earlier in the pocket, you can throw them anywhere. You can throw them through all, and you have so much. You get a lot of rain in the spring, You have so much flooded junk that those fish are getting in and amongst in the springtime that having that weedless swim bait that you can just bulldog through all of it, that's the deal for me. And you can cover water, like a lot. And you need to as they start spreading out the spawn. You need to cover a lot of water.
What's your thoughts on a lightweight, like a super lightweight swim jig this time of year, like a 1/4 ounce swim jig?
It's great if you can get it through whatever you're fishing. There's times when the stuff you're fishing is just, I threw a swim jig at Rayburn. There was times when I was around flooded buckbrush and cypress trees and I was needing to get back in behind them because there was so much water that I would take the swim jig and pick it up so that I could skip it back into behind all that junk. The swim bait I can skip, but it doesn't skip as well as a swim jig. Now, I'd rather throw a swim bait because it just hangs up less. As great and weedless as a swim jig is, it's not as weedless as a weedless swim bait.
Correct.
So if I'm fishing flooded grass, if I'm fishing hay grass edges and stuff, it's going to lay over on that swim jig and bog it down sometimes and all that. Not all the time. You can get it through a lot of it. But that weedless swim bait's coming through there every time clean.
So how are you rigging that weedless swim bait?
On a 5-aught on a flashy swimmer.
10-4?
Yep.
All right. Let's go to sub number 2, number 888 4-1.
Yeah, we got our random numbers.
So the prediction of what's going to win the Mega Bass, something 10 plus.
Yeah. It could be 10, it could be 12, it could be who knows
Could be a Sherlocker. We don't know. I mean,
of course, we haven't seen one on a fork yet, so odds are it's probably going to be a 10, 11 pound bass.
Yeah.
That's the odds are that's what it's going to be. And I don't see any way that it's not a 10 pounder. When is that tournament?
March 28th.
Oh, the full moon? Oh,
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Might be 12.
So I'm curious.
Ooh, that's awesome to have it on the full moon. That's really cool.
Go for a ride with me for a minute.
All right.
So if the amount of pressure that lakes like Ivy had been getting right now with all the live scope and pre-spawn stuff, if Fork was getting that much attention right now, would we see a similar pattern? Maybe not quite the size of the fish. That's not what I'm talking about.
There's plenty of people on Fork to catch those fish.
You think they're scoping? Think there's a lot of scopes out there?
I think there's some. I don't think it's. I think it's going to get more prevalent. We're going to see more and more of them. We're going to see more big fish caught because, like, real big, like what we've seen. I think we're going to see more true giants get caught because of live scope as your everyday angler becomes more proficient and better at doing it. You're going to see more giant bass get caught. As far as why is Fork not kicking out the big ones over the other lakes, I mean, just pride myself on being straight up and down with you. Honestly, it ain't got them like other lakes do right now. I think there's enough people fishing Fork that if they were there, some of them would be showing up.
Because make no mistake about it, it is still the most pressured lake in the country.
Per acre. Yeah. There's more people at Rayburn than there is at Fork.
Well, sure, but
it's 4 times bigger.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Per acre, Fork is still.
Yeah, Rayburn's the most confusing place on earth for me as far as pressure goes because I hear everybody talking about how pressured it is. And if you get up around the 147 area, you get on the bridge flats, you get in the deer stand and all that, all that stuff up there that everybody knows, canyons, all that. Yeah, there's a lot of pressure in that area.
Yeah. In
those areas. But Rayburn's real confusing because you pull up to the boat ramp and you got to park in the street. And then you're like, good Lord, there's a lot of people here. And every boat ramp you go to is like that. Yeah. Every day of the week.
And
every
then you
day.
see 4 boats all day.
Then you go fishing. Nobody, you got an entire 8,000 acre creek. You don't even see anybody.
Yeah.
You're like, where are all these people at?
Oh, yeah.
It makes you go, man, am I fishing the wrong area? But there's so many areas on Rayburn that you can get away from the pressure.
Yeah.
And there's areas you can pull into. There's other areas you can pull into that do have boats in them and such as that. But
right.
You can always get away from it. Even the areas that are pressured, there was 2 incidents while I was at Rayburn. One was just funny. It wasn't even like bad. But I was fishing the bridge flats. Yeah. And that's a real popular area. Anybody knows Rayburn, 147's got those big flats that have grass all over them, a couple of Willow Bush Island type deals, several Willow Bush Island type deals anyway. In a real popular area for good reason. There's hydrilla growing out in 8 foot of water in areas. It's like really, really cool.
So it looks like heaven and stuff?
Yeah. It's awesome. And it gets hammered.
Yeah.
And I pulled in there. First morning I was out there, I pulled in there. And, man, there's boats everywhere. There's probably 10, 15 boats in there.
Looking like SRA Point in June.
But it's so big, they're all spread out, and nobody's fishing on top of each other,
Right. Yeah.
Other than there was 2 guys that looked like they were buddies that were over there casting and yakking and whatever. So I pull in, I find this hump out there isolated in the middle. Top of the hump's covered in grass. I graph it, there's grass all over the top of the hump. I'm like, ooh, out in the middle of this whole thing, like, this looks pretty good. So I go in there, I'll set up spot lock, hit it. I go back, start digging around, tying a couple different baits on that I want to throw over that grass. And as I'm sitting there tying baits on, spot locked in one spot, these 2 old men come up in this tin boat, and I'm talking about an underhanded pitch on plane from me and shut down right in front of me and put the trolling motor in and start fishing. And I'm like,
cool.
Okay. I mean, I wasn't casting any certain direction, but what they didn't know is they went right over, maybe they did. They went right over the top of that hump that I was fixing to cast on as soon as I stood up. And then they just stopped right to my left and just started fishing, like within a cast. And they fished there for a minute and then moved on up to the next point down the way on one of those islands. But it wasn't a big deal. Like, they didn't cause any problems for me. It was just like, that was pretty close.
That's the closest I've ever fished to anybody on Rayburn.
All right. So that was a deal where it was like everybody was so spread out, and then they came in real close to me. I'm like, why'd they do that?
Yeah.
But then there was another little creek arm that I fished that just looked, I think this was Saturday. This was yesterday morning. Went to the back of this creek, 3 little corner kickoffs, good spawning areas, grass all down the middle. Like, it just looked juicy, right? And I was the only guy back there. Like, it was one of them deals where you go into the creek arm and there's grass and stuff out at the mouth and lots of stuff to fish in this creek. It's a huge creek.
Yeah.
And as I'm driving down the creek on plane, I see, there's probably 10 or 15 boats in the creek, maybe 20, but everybody's spread out. Everybody's spread out. And I just went all the way back because I'm thinking about next week and looking for fish after the warm up and all that. So I go all the way to the back. Well, I get back there and I see this grass and I'm like, all right, this is it. Now I've got a staging spot and spawning spots right here. Like, this is where I need to figure this out. I need to understand these fish. This is going to be a great area for us in the tournament, right? So I get out there and power pull down in the middle of that drain that ran through that grass. And I'm just going to fan cast all this grass right where all 3 drains from all 3 coves come together. I can cast that like, I'm on it, right? I'm literally back there power pulled down. And, buddy, you can cast across this creek, one side to the other, where I'm sitting. 4 boats come back there. Like, now I've got 4 other boats.
Stacked up like cordwood.
And there was a real shallow point that ran off of one of those one of those creeks where there's a real shallow point that ran way out. Like, so shallow you can't take your boat across it. And this guy comes back there, not on plane, but on the big motor, idling past me. And, Chris, I can cast from my boat to the bank, and he goes right there. And he goes over this point, gets his boat stuck, revs it up, muddies it up, throws water everywhere, then goes between me and the bank and gets on the trolling motor. And I'm like, whoa. Like,
trim down for what?
Why are people doing that these days? I don't know. Like, why didn't he just come back? I didn't even care if you fished next to me. But how about you get on the trolling motor before you run over the area I'm fishing with your big motor?
Yeah.
Like, I'm literally casting to that area. You see me casting to this area, and you just idle over it with a big motor?
So
Now, that was, 3 days of being down there. And
yeah, I had to do
so
that.
three beautiful, awesome days that, even though I didn't catch them very well, enjoyed. I love Sam Rayburn, love being down there. The Burning Stump. Shout out to the Burning Stump. Great food. A couple of great bartenders that make some really strong drinks. I mean, we might have had a little too much fun at Rayburn at times, but it was a good time. I love the Burning. If you go to Rayburn, definitely hit up the Burning Stump, man. That's the spot.
Did I ever tell you about the time? Okay, so on Lake Palestine, the 315 area. Okay, well, back when the 315 area had grass, and the sunken bridges right out there with the roadbed.
You talking about Kickapoo?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So the Kickapoo roadbed that you have to hit it just right whenever the lake's a certain level?
Yeah.
Okay, well, back in the day, it had grass all the way outside of that, and it would be just on the outside of the channel. So I'm making this one cast that basically, like, you cast all the way to the roadbed, and you just drag the edges of that channel back to where we were fishing from. Well, this guy launched at 315, and he comes in to hit the roadbed, to go over it and go in the back of Kickapoo. Well, this dude proceeds to high center his boat on the roadbed, like, to the tune where, like, he couldn't stand on the front or the back to get himself lodged off.
He's stuck.
And he's literally on my line, like my
He's
cast.
on your line.
Yeah, and I'm like,
that's a bad spot to be because you can't get off that roadbed if you get stuck on it.
Bro. And so I troll over there and I was like, man, you good? And he's like, I guess I hit it wrong. So me and a couple buddies, we end up, my other buddy that was with me and his partner, we got out of the boat and we lifted his boat up, moved it over, and he went on fishing.
Yeah, I'd say you hit it wrong.
It was funny.
Palestine has got to be the number one place that I have had to help people get unstuck and had to get myself unstuck. I've had to get in the lake multiple times to push my boat off of a stump or a sandbar. Had to get out one time to push it off a sandbar running up the river. Had to get out one time to get off a stump just idling up around caves.
I had to drag you back to the boat ramp one day.
We ran out of battery juice. You had to, when we say drag, folks, we mean like he got out and walked holding a rope and drug the boat and me back to the boat ramp.
That's right.
Your boat, though, not my boat. This is your boat.
Right.
It was your fault. For the record. Let the record show.
Yeah.
Let the record state it was Chris's fault. No, I mean, things happen. Stuff breaks. Especially back then when we were fishing out like really old stuff.
How many transducer brackets Palestine cost you? Three?
Three? I think 3. I've torn off 3 transducers off the back of boats on Palestine. One wasn't even mine. It was Zach's. I was using Zach's old aluminum boat.
Yep.
I took his aluminum boat because I'm like, Zach, can I use your aluminum boat for Palestine so I don't beat up a glass boat? It's, the lake's kind of aluminum. Oh, yeah, no problem. Almost sank the boat. Ripped the transducer off the back and a metal boat starts taking on water. And you can't get on plane and outrun the water out there in Kickapoo.
No.
So I'm trolling back as fast as I can, praying I don't break anything and praying I don't sink the boat. And I did make it back, but that boat had a lot of water. I will say this about express aluminum boats. They hold a lot of water and stay on top. Like they float with a lot of water in them. They're really well built. I'll give them credit for that because I thought I was going to sink that boat that day. Anyway.
They use that floating aluminum.
I've had to hook up the guys and pull them to get them off stumps out there. It's wild, man.
You know that's what the express boats are made out of, right? That Jesus aluminum. They walk on water.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad. I needed it that day. It sure came in handy for me, son.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
We did have another subscriber question.
And this subscriber has the coolest number out of all of them. Number 999999.
All nines.
Parallel in the bank. Is that only a springtime thing as far as making a parallel cast?
No. It's not even necessarily a springtime thing. It's not something you have to do in the spring. Parallel in the bank is about where the fish are positioned on cover. Okay? So parallel in the bank is going to be if you have usually some type of shoreline cover, or if you've got riprap rock or flooded grass or something like that, then if you get up next to that cover and parallel it, you keep your bait in a strike zone longer versus quartering at it or anything else, where you're throwing to the cover and pulling your bait away immediately from the strike zone. Because basically what you're thinking is the strike zone is up next to that bank or that cover. Now that can occur in the springtime when fish are spawning, but that can also occur any other time of year. I mean, I've paralleled riprap banks in the middle of winter. So it's not, it's just about, if you know the fish are holding at a certain depth,
It's all about staying in the strike zone.
on a certain type of cover, then if you're by yourself and you're not totally cutting your buddy off, you're better to get up in that zone and keep your bait in that depth zone the entire time. If those fish are in 2 foot of water, you're best served to get your boat in 2 foot of water, keep your bait in 2 foot of water the whole time. If those fish are in 5 foot of water, same deal. It's just about keeping your bait in the zone where the fish are.
I actually remember. I remember a time of year you and I were fishing when the Movement 80X first came out. We found a stretch that we paralleled for all day, really, and
It was like January.
Yeah, and caught a lot of big fish that winter doing that.
We sure did.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that.
So,
I remember that. Yeah, no, it's just that's all it is. It's just about keeping your bait in the zone that you feel like the fish are holding in or feeding in.
I tend to do it year round, just because.
If you fish by yourself, see, like for me as a fishing guide, the paralleling deal is not really
Right.
on my guide trips. That's not something we can do.
Right.
Now I will tell you, at Rayburn this week, they were up in them bushes, and guess what I was doing?
Yep.
I was right up against them bushes, keeping my bait next to them bushes as long as I could. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's our sub questions for the week.
That is our sub.
Do y'all have any questions that we need to answer? Let's answer some
They've
questions.
probably asked some in here tonight.
We probably got a bunch of questions. Don't be talking about old folks, Cedar Creek Freak. Come on, man.
He's talking about a fishing spot. So if there's any
I know.
elderly viewers, he's
No, I
not
know.
talking about you.
No, I know what he's talking about.
No. I'm saying what you're talking about. For the people that don't know the question and don't know what that is, like let's say we got an old dude watching this thing right now.
Yeah.
You're like, don't be talking about old folks. He's not talking about senior citizens. Guys.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about. I'm
There's
talking
a
about the
fishing
spot.
There's a fishing spot on Lake Palestine named Old Folks.
Yeah, and it's like awesome and stuff sometimes.
Favorite color worm to wacky rig this time of year on bedding fish? We're kind of coming out of the black and blue
Green pumpkin
and
burst.
going into the greens. Yeah, watermelon red's really good. Anything green, but methylate.
Oh,
Right now?
can't ever not do it.
Right now, while the water's still staying and the fish are just pulling in there and getting there, I caught some methylate wormfish this week at Rayburn.
Who makes that worm that he was throwing? Was that a VMC?
I don't know which one he was throwing. Zoom Trick worm makes a methylate. 6 cents clout that comes in methylate. That's a worm I really like throwing, obviously. But the Zoom Trick worm's really good to wacky rig as well in methylate. I was actually throwing a trick worm, but weightless Texas rigging it like a Cinco this week, just because I didn't have any methylate clouts with me, and caught a couple fish doing it. So it'll be tied on my boat next week for Rayburn for the tournament.
Did I tell you that I'm finally a believer?
In
I got away from Senkos and started throwing strictly clouds.
oh yeah,
Yeah, they just shake a little bit different when they drop.
they do.
And
Follow a little different speed, shake a little. They're a little different. There's
I like
and when you kick them, my favorite part about them is when I say kick them, when you twitch them, they have a real good swim, like almost like they swim instead of just kind of jerking around.
Yeah.
It's almost like they swim away, and I think that triggers some bites, or I feel like it
they're
does.
patterned like a golf ball, you know?
Busting Outdoors says you can't buy a bag of methylate worms anywhere in the country. That's why I got plenty. I got a stockpile, bro.
That's why I'm stealing plenty.
Oh no! You gonna steal my tackle, dog?
Oh, man. It wouldn't be the first time that I lifted some tackle off of you, would it?
No, not at all.
Hey, but you know what, though? In my defense, I left one of my gliding gizzards with you, so you could have an extra one for customers.
I would love.
So I feel like it's a fair trade.
I was gonna say I'd love to hear you try to defend stealing my tackle, but you did actually a really good job.
Yeah,
That was a really good defense.
because I got
That
other
was
one.
we went in together on some custom made $150 swim baits.
That was like a 2-year wait at the time.
I think it was 1 year, but yeah.
Well, now they're 2 years.
It was a year when we ordered it. We ordered and got it a year later.
Yeah.
Literally.
Literally.
Like, literally.
Literally.
But we got 4 of them.
Yeah.
2 apiece.
Yeah.
And since I was just starting guiding at that time, Chris let me hold on to his backup.
That's right.
So I could have a backup if I needed one for a customer.
That's right.
That is true. You did do that. It's a symbiotic relationship we got going here, kid.
That's how I get the methylate. That's how I got the methylate worm plug, folks. I got the methylate plug.
That's right. Some time ago, you had mentioned a jig color that had a few strands of another color in skirt. I can't find the video. That's more of a wintertime deal. What it is, there's a color that 6 Sense makes called Cajun Neon in their jigs.
That's right.
And it's a black and blue jig, but it has chartreuse and orange strands on the belly. And I take the chartreuse strands out. So it's black, and by the time I'm done with it, it's black and blue with a little bit of orange. That's something I've done for several years on fork and works really, really good in the wintertime. It's not a deal I use this time of year going forward very much. I really don't use it this time of year going forward. But in the middle of wintertime, December, January, some in February, yeah, it's a good deal. There was another question I saw up here. Oh, somebody asked, what fluorocarbon brand has the least stretch? What do you think?
What do I think?
Yeah. The least stretch is Red Label.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's also the toughest to cast after it's been on your rod for a week without being unwound. It's got memory, but I think it has the least stretch.
One thing I will tell you too is I was
That's Cigar Red Label.
Cigar Red Label.
Yeah.
That's the only line I use personally. But I will tell you that Berkeley Trilene is also a good fluorocarbon.
Very good. Very smooth.
Yes.
It's more expensive.
It is more expensive. So I was looking for fluorocarbon line the other day, 2 weeks ago, and I couldn't find any in the 25-pound range because I was throwing an A-rig on a lake that doesn't have a lot of structure, so I can get away with 25-pound fluoro instead of braid. Mm-hmm. And I got some of that InvisX from Cigar, and surprisingly enough, I'm a pretty big fan of the InvisX.
No, it's good.
Thinner in diameter. It's got the strength.
It's got stretch.
Yeah, but it does have stretch.
It's got
versus
stretch.
The Red Label. You're right.
It does. Yeah, the least stretch is going to be Red Label, but it will be the hardest to keep manageable on your spool.
If you don't fish a lot,
if you're fishing all the time, it doesn't matter because you stretch it out every day.
If you stretch them out every weekend, you'll be fine.
Yeah, just don't let it sit there for a while without using it.
No,
it'll be a mess trying to cast it, unless you're throwing a really heavy bait.
That's how you end up with some purple martins in your reels. I've used a Braze X too.
How's the bubble fry for bedfish? I've never thrown a bubble fry to bedfish.
It's not,
honestly,
not a terrible idea either.
No, there was something that doesn't really get talked about anymore. That used to be a really, really prevalent, popular pattern around spawning season on fork was taking the old Lake Fork tackle ring fry, the chartreuse pepper ring fry, and rigging it on a very, very finesse Carolina rig, chicken shit rig, whatever you want to call it. But, Mojo rig, I think is what the official name is. But it's like you take like an 1/8 ounce weight and you rig a little miniature Carolina rig about 18 inches up the line with an 1/8 ounce weight. And then you put a chartreuse pepper ring fry on an EWG style hook. And it's just a little baby Carolina rig. You can throw it really shallow. So the chartreuse pepper bubble fry would work just as good, if not better.
But on that rig, talk about how you hook the bait, because you actually hook it backwards. I mean, it's technically not backwards, but you make the.
How do you hook a bait that's the exact same on both ends?
No, I'm talking about the spot on the bait where you hook it. Don't give me that.
How do you hook a bait that is the exact same on both ends backwards? There is no backwards on a bubble fry or a ring fry. Both ends are the same.
I've got a picture in my head, and it's not with a.
Well, you better start painting a better picture, because right now I'm lost.
Everybody's lost.
Yeah, we're trying to find it.
Yeah. I'm talking about no, it doesn't work with a bubble fry, I guess.
No, bubble fry or a ring fry, they're the same on both ends.
You're right.
So I have no idea what you're saying.
Yeah.
I got nothing on this one, bro.
I'll show you. I got one actually rigged up in my truck, not a bubble fry.
Right. Oh, we got another water temp question. It's all over the place. It's
still house, huh?
It's 51, 54, 55 on Main Lake, but you can go back in some corners and find it up over 60. Low 60s usually. So it's varying widely right now.
A buddy of mine has the lake record on Stillhouse.
Who's that?
Justin Rogers.
Is that your cousin or whatever?
No, I met Justin Rogers through my other buddy David Kipp.
Oh, okay.
And he caught the 13 something in December.
How about that?
2 years ago, I think.
How about it?
Yeah.
13.
Yeah. Sri Lanka new lake record. That's
I'll be
cool.
honest with you. I'm a little depressed these days. I feel like everybody in the world's catching 13-pounders except me.
Well, I can assure you I'm not. So you're still in good company.
I don't know if I'd qualify either one of us as good company, but birds of a feather and all that.
It's all perspective.
Yeah, birds of a feather. It's all relative, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. The Stillhouse.
Here's a good question. Does 12-pound fluorocarbon stretch more than 20-pound fluorocarbon? Same brand. Yeah, I think so. It seems like it does. Seems like the heavier the line rating is, the stiffer it is. In my experience, what do you think? It feels like that. I don't know if it actually is or not, but it feels like that.
So it's obviously smaller diameter.
Yeah.
So it has less room to stretch. So just the way my brain works, you would think that it would be less stretch. I don't even
You're
know.
talking about like science and stuff, and bro, I'm just telling you what it feels like.
Oh, I mean, I can talk about science all I want, but I'm not a scientist.
It's over my head. I know that. You're
Yeah.
above my pay grade. You start talking about science.
Over the river and through the woods to grandmother's house we go, I don't know.
Those directions I can probably follow. I have no idea this diameter.
That's a
stuff
very
you're talking
good question. I'm actually going to probably go home and sit on my couch and do extensive research about that because I have no clue. Yes.
about. I heard Lake Tyler mentioned earlier. Has Tyler recovered from the blizzard?
So I will tell you, as of yesterday, fishing was still tough.
Yeah, you had a buddy that was out there yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fishing was still tough, but I will tell you, the week before when we fished, we got 4 bites all day. I just happened to land the one lucky bite that I got, and it still took 23 pounds to win one of the big tournaments out there. So yeah, it's fine. You just gotta. I think with what was going on with Tyler, you just gotta find that warmer, cleaner water, and there just isn't a whole lot of it. And some people found it and whacked them. Some people didn't, because there was a lot of people that zeroed and struggled. So
Yeah.
I think that was the deal. Kind of like you were talking about earlier. You just gotta search. You gotta find it.
That's pre-spawn. There's a lot of that occurs in pre-spawn where the guys that are on them are on them.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys that aren't.
And it's real easy to miss that bus too.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Anytime the fish start grouping up, you'll find that. You hear people talk about fishing in the summer gets tough, and the heat of dog day summer fishing gets tough. Not really. The fish are actually biting pretty good.
Yeah, the willingness to
You
bite
just
is,
when fish start grouping, what it does is creates a situation where there is more of the lake with no fish.
a bunch of dead water.
If there's bigger groups and they're more grouped up tighter, then there's more water that has nothing. And that's pre-spawn they group up, summer they group up, and they're great times of the year if you hit them.
Mm-hmm.
When you hit them, it's awesome. When you don't, it feels like you're in the Dead Sea. And you kind of are. You kind of literally are. So.
One thing that I want to do in 2021 more than I've ever done before is I want to go night fishing in the summertime. Because people catch these giant bass at night all the time, and I've never done a whole lot of it except for some of the tournaments that you and I
We
fished
used to
back in the
fish.
day.
Yeah, one summer we went one summer where we fished a night tournament. I think every other Friday there that summer.
And that was fun.
It was fun. We sucked, but it was fun.
Yeah,
We never won anything.
you get that sometimes.
I hate slot fish tournaments. I hate stringer tournaments on fork.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Ooh, catching some gooders.
Jason Bass is catching them tanks on Tyler.
You got the last name for it, I guess.
Bass too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said he caught a 5, a 6.57, and a 10.38 the weekend before the freeze on Lake Tyler. That is some heads.
Hey,
there.
I'm gonna tell you right now,
some heads.
Lake Tyler is fishing especially last year.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Its fishing is good. I mean, it's not gonna kick out a 15-pound bass. You know what I mean? It's just not. But as far as
Till somebody uses live scope.
that's true. As far as people catching 7 to
live
10
scope.
pounders, it's fishing pretty hot. I like that little pond.
Did we lose a lot of shad with the freeze? No, we did not lose a lot of shad. We lost some shad I saw a few thread fins flickering around, floating around, dying. There was a few herons out on the main lake sitting on stumps, picking off dead shad. But it wasn't ever a big, like there was never any big amount washed up. And bro, you can't hurt shad populations. Like even
so
when we've
big.
had big shad kills in the past, they recover like that. I mean, shad are impossible to get rid of, like alligators or something. You
Well,
know?
and with as high as the water's been the last several years, they've had such a big.
We got.
Yeah.
I mean, the biologists will tell you from shocking surveys, Lake Fork has more shad than anywhere.
Oh man, I just thought about something you used to say to me.
What's that?
We'd grab fish, we'd be throwing at them, trying to knock them on the head,
Yeah.
and I'm like, bro,
Wait a minute, can we air this?
yeah,
Because there's some things I used to say we can't put
I'm
on.
gonna clean it up.
Okay.
I was like, bro, why won't they eat? And you're like, bro, they don't have to in this lake.
Yeah, like do you stop at every McDonald's you drive by?
Yeah.
No, you don't. You
And I
don't.
was like, man, I've
don't.
never thought about it like that. There's a lot of Whataburgers on my way home, and I only stop at one of them sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Right.
Yeah.
Like these suckers got everything. They got Whataburger, Jack in the Box. They got it all swimming around their head, and we wonder why they won't eat sometimes.
Yeah, they got threadfin, they got gizzard shad, they got purplefin, bluefin,
Yellow bass.
yellow bass.
Blue fish, red fish, two fish.
That's right. No, don't say that. We'll get canceled.
Oh, listen, bro. I know everybody's seen this and everybody agrees with it, but look, when we're censoring Dr. Seuss,
Come on.
and we're putting up WAP for Song of the Year, there might be a problem with the world, folks. Like, what are we doing? Like, WAP is the Song of the Year, and we got a problem with Dr. Seuss. What? And I haven't even, because I just ignore all this craziness. So, what is the problem with Dr. Seuss? What are they saying is wrong with Dr. Seuss? Do you know? I don't know.
I don't have a clue.
Because they say redfish and bluefish, and that's racist, or what are we doing?
I don't know.
Or they a boy or a girl, and you can't tell anybody whether they're a boy or a girl anymore?
I just know I saw a deal today where they're trying to cancel like 12 books from Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
And I'm reading all of them, and I'm like just reading the gist of what they
I
are.
like green eggs and ham.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
And
Yeah.
you know what Dr. Seuss's deal was, right?
Uh.
He'd get all tripped out on acid and just start writing down stuff. And
Yeah.
they ended up being children's books because they rhymed and they're funny. And so, like, what's the problem? Like, who else would you want to watch your kids, right?
Yeah.
Than get on Dr. Seuss.
The old acid trip, man.
That's right. I don't know. I haven't dug too far into it because I'm just like, man,
Wild times, folks.
Nothing-
Wild times.
nothing surprises me anymore.
There was another good question up here. Swank or trap in shallow grass, which is better? Depends on how shallow you're talking. You know, the swank actually dives down pretty good ways. So if you're talking 3 foot or less, you got to go with a trap, and you probably need to go with a 1/4 ounce one in that shallow of water. The swank's just going to dive too deep. The deal with that swank is you want it to hit the grass and not bog down in it. So for that swank to really be the deal, you need a little bit deeper grass. You need a little bit of a gap between the top of the grass and the surface, where that swank will go down there and kind of hit the top of the grass and not get too far down into it. Now, I will tell you, that swank will reel. You can get it down in grass and reel it through. It's like magic. I really don't know exactly how it does what it does, but it just kind of, you throw 2 treble hooks on a bait and then you wind it through grass and it comes through clean and you're like, how did it do that? It just does. So for shallow grass, probably a trap. But, that's a deal there. Even in the deeper grass, it could be. What's up, Timmy? Welcome to the show, Tim. It can be either one. It's kind of just a which bait do they want to hit. Like, are they going to hit a chatterbait or are they going to hit a spinnerbait better? Like, that can be a day-to-day thing.
Some people.
Mega bass, mag draft on windy points. Yeah, let's go. Big baits. Oh, that's what he caught them on Tyler. That's the guy that caught those big ones on Tyler on a mag draft on windy points. So he's running a little shallow windy point deal like we do on Fork on Tyler. Very cool. And you know what I'm gonna tell you? Anytime a lake starts losing, this is what I'm beginning. We're about to break something down. Y'all ready for it? Let's go. We're gonna get some serious bass fishing thoughts out of my head right now because I've been thinking about this a lot because. After I went to Toledo and the shell bed pattern in practice became the deal, Tim, Tim, you need to stop right now.
No more, Tim.
You're about to start putting out too much information on the internet right now, Tim. We're live. You can't be doing that to me.
Break down the knowledge. Let's go.
So after I went to Toledo, the shell bed pattern became the deal for me when I was down there. Then after being at Rayburn, it's really not the deal. What I'm starting to really realize is it's when there's a void of grass is when that deal really, really plays. Because you think about it, even on Fork, we do it on Fork where there's no grass. You don't go up to Running Creek and run shell beds.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And on Rayburn,
You go over and rip stuff out of grass.
you don't run shell beds because every point's got some type of vegetation on it up shallow, really, you know. Now, I'm sure some of the offshore stuff has shell involved in it on Rayburn, but for this time of year, the shallow point deal, all that, it's shallow grass points on Rayburn. And so it's really when there's a void of grass, that's when the shell bed deal becomes the thing. And I'm convinced that it's the freaking thing when there's not grass because it's so consistent and big fish show up on them so consistently.
They don't have as much else to relate to
When they
on
don't,
their way in.
for something shallow, they really
Yeah.
don't. If
Yeah.
they don't have grass, what else are they going to group up on and ambush and feed on, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just those areas where that shell stacks up are where the bait go because that's where the plankton goes.
That's right.
Whereas in grass, the bait go to the grass because the plankton gathers and gets stuck in the grass and they eat it in the grass. And they eat the algae off the grass and everything else. Bait feed on that. So the grass gathers the bait when there's grass, but when there's not, the plankton gathers in those shell bed areas and that's what happens. And I'm just convinced that when there's not grass, that shell bed deal, shallow, is the deal you want to do unless you're looking at them on beds.
That's right.
Or unless they're spawning and you're fishing for them on beds. You don't have to be looking at them. But unless you're fishing for actively spawning fish, the shell bed deal is the thing to do in the springtime. If there's no grass.
Talking about areas like down by the golf course on Fork.
Yeah. I mean, well, most of Lake Fork these
Right.
days because there's
Yeah.
not grass in most of Lake Fork. The majority of Lake Fork doesn't have grass these days. So.
Cedar Creek ain't got shell beds or grass. Cedar Creek used to have grass, but then they did what they did to every other lake.
Yeah. Somebody just asked, how's the end of March looking? Can't wait for the trip there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hurry up.
It's going to be real good, especially we're getting a big warm up right now. We're going to have a big warm trim this week, I think, across the state of Texas for water temps. And we're going to have that. This is what we talked about in the beginning. I mean, this is,
Yeah, this
it's
is
on.
about to be the deal.
It is freaking on, starting right now going forward. New moon Saturday, this next Saturday.
If you're a part of
really
a lot
warm
of fishing
temperatures,
groups.
really warm nights at the end of the week, leading into that new moon. It's time, man. It's time. It's happening.
If you're a part of a bunch of fishing groups and anything like that on Facebook, you better be ready to see some pictures.
Yeah.
Because they're going to start this week.
No doubt. No doubt.
It's going to be. Dude, I'm pumped. I'm telling you, I'm
Yeah,
pumped.
it's time.
You know me in Lake Fork. I'll spend as much time as anybody there when I have the time.
It gets inside your bones. There's something about Lake Fork. The big fish potential. Then you fish there, and the number of really big fish you catch for the number of bites you get is just unlike other places.
Dude, I remember the first time you and I went to Lake Fork together. I hadn't been since I was in high school. And you were like, man, this is the only lake I can come to numerous times. And every single time I pull up to the boat ramp, I get goosebumps. And I remember thinking, yeah, okay, yeah, whatever. And literally every single time I pulled up there,
You
and
feel
that
it.
day, I
You
feel
step
it. I'm
out-
just
you
like,
step out of the truck and you feel it.
you're just like, man, I could literally catch a 16.
And at this point,
or,
I have
whatever.
thousands of days on Lake Fork at this point,
Yeah.
and I still get that feeling.
Yeah, it's crazy. No other place
I
like
get-
it on earth.
It's weird too because it's different. Like I go to Rayburn, which is an all-time great bass fishery, and I get to Rayburn, and when I get out of the truck there, I have a feeling there too. Like there's a feeling I get there, but it's more of a like relaxed.
Yeah.
I'm in my happy place. I'm happy to be here. When you get out of the truck at Fork, it's like it's freaking on.
Yeah.
Like it's go time, Jack.
Yeah.
Like that's the feeling for me when I get to Fork. It's like, oh, we might do something special today.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas when I go to Rayburn or Toledo, I feel really good about being there, and it's just more of I'm happy to be there, relaxed type deal. It's really nice. It's like vacation. It's like when you fish Fork all the time, you go to Rayburn, Toledo, it's like vacation.
What I like about Fork is even when you don't spend as much time as you used to there, and you still walk into a lot of the places around there, people still remember you.
Oh yeah,
That's awesome.
that's the same at all these. Like the people at
Yeah.
Rayburn, people at Burning Stump are kind of starting to know who I am. Just saying. But no, even like the hotel I stay in, when I go down there at the Rayburn Country Golf Course, places where I stay, and the lady that works in the restaurant there, the bar there, and the lady that cleans the rooms, like, yeah, they all know you.
It's awesome.
When you show up, they remember you. It's really,
The
really
fishing
cool.
communities are they're the best communities.
It's a good group of people, man. There's no doubt about it. It is. The funny thing is, it's what always baffles me about all the hate that goes on inside the world of fishing, whether it's the guide drama on Fork or whether it's the tournament drama or the social media versus tournament fisherman drama. Like, there's always this nonsense that goes on from a group of people that are like really good people that have a lot in common.
Yeah.
But somehow they get at each other. It's just really confused. This is, I guess, maybe the best way to put it. Fishermen are the only people on earth that wear flip-flops to work and are mad.
Yeah, for sure.
And a lot of guys, most guys aren't. By the way, most bass fishermen aren't. Most guys are aware of, grateful for the opportunities they have and grateful to be at the lake and be fishing because we love it. There's just a few that are angry or bitter or whatever. And I know some of those guys that are very angry and bitter and haters or whatever you want to call it. And dude, and I know them personally and they're great freaking people. Like, I respect the heck out of them, but like, they get mad over fishing.
Yeah.
Over fishing.
It ain't that big a deal.
Well, it's fishing.
It ain't that big a deal.
Here we go. Do you think social media has ruined lakes?
That's a two-part answer for me, but you go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Take it away.
No one here. I'm curious.
I'm going to say, okay. This might get a little bit long-winded. Cut me off. So, has it ruined?
Cut you off now?
Has it ruined? I don't think ruined would be the word.
No. Changed?
Changed?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, it's just like anything else. It's just like any other sport that gains popularity in a drastic way through. I mean,
duck hunting. Duck.
Yeah.
Duck Dynasty was blamed for running duck hunting. That's what the old school guys that hunted a lot before. You were in that group.
Yeah.
They were all like, man, Duck Dynasty run it.
But
did it run it?
When you think about the industry as a whole, it is as strong as it has ever been because of social media.
Yeah.
And when an industry is thriving the way the fishing industry is thriving, you've got other businesses like Texas Parks and Wildlife who are also thriving, and they're dumping more money now in these lakes than they ever have in history.
And I don't think there's any debate or question that social media has been good for the fishing industry.
Correct.
But the question was, has it ruined?
I don't think it's ruined
lakes.
It just changes it's just changing them. And you've also.
It didn't ruin anything. Here's my view on it. It didn't ruin anything. This has happened before social media. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you don't think the boat ramps at Fort got crowded when Mark Stevenson caught Ethel,
right?
Like, it's just the nature of this game. When there's a hot lake, people flock to it. It's more efficient and maybe a little more exaggerated now. It doesn't ruin lakes. This is going to happen with or without social media to some extent. Also, it doesn't ruin lakes. It just makes you have to work harder to catch fish on that lake.
Correct.
But that doesn't mean you can't go to the next lake.
That's right.
And there's always another lake, especially in our area. We're so fortunate. There's always other lakes to go to that are good. Like, there's 10-pounders in every lake out here. Every single lake out here has 10-pounders. Most of them have 13-pounders.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like, no, it hasn't ruined lakes. It has. There are times when social media is going to make things tougher. I mean, it's awful. I mean, they're only catching 10-pounders out of Ivy now. They're not catching 16s. It's just terrible. There's still guys out there catching like 25, 30-pound bags every single day right now.
Which is, by the way, why we canceled our trip. Because 30-pound bag,
not good enough for you.
Not good enough for me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, he was going to run to Ivy. Then he's like, I don't know. I've been seeing a boat ramp pictures.
No, the funny thing is, I'm having a conversation with Kip. And Kip's sorry.
Kip's the guy you were going to go.
Yeah.
You were going to go with him.
I'm sorry. But I'm having a conversation with Kip, and he's like, man, it's going to be so crowded. Let's just go to Fork. And I was like, bro.
We're going to go to Fork to get away from a crowd?
Yeah. I was like, I mean, fair. I said I have way more knowledge on Fork. Like, I feel more confident of catching bigger fish on Fork. That's fine. But, yeah, it's just funny. But to what you said, I don't think it's ruined it.
I mean, there's always going to be those that are going to complain about everything, first of all, but there's always going to be those that are going to complain about a lake that maybe they did have to themselves.
Right.
And then somebody comes with a YouTube camera, and now there's a lot of people in that lake. People are not going to like that. The reality of it is it's not going to kill the lake.
No.
Like these lakes that are so good, yeah, it may make it tougher for a time. They all come back, and the reality is it's on you. Like the fish live there. The onus is on you to figure out how to catch them. And if the pressure changes their behavior, then you got to become a better fisherman and learn how to catch them under more pressure when they don't want to bite as much. That's just part of fishing. That lake that was fishing so hot wasn't going to fish that way forever, no matter what.
That's right.
It wasn't going to. They all up and down, all of them. You know,
The way I look at it too, whether you heard about that deal that went on at Ivy through the social media or not, if it wasn't social media, it would have been the paper. You know what I mean? And there's not they don't just have, a Lake Ivy paper. Like
no, it's going to get out.
It's going to get out in
It's been
some
getting
form
out
or
forever.
fashion. Yeah.
Granted, it is more efficient and more.
Yeah, I mean, I can pull it up right here on my phone right now. Like, I get that, but no, I don't think. Yeah. I think it's good for the sport personally.
1,000% it's good for the industry. Like, there's not even a debate on that. It's good for. Listen, I wouldn't be doing this for a living if it wasn't for social media.
If it does any amount of bad whatsoever, like even an inkling of bad, it does more good than bad, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. 100%.
Yeah, it's just
all right.
They're just tougher to catch, man. But once again, fish are not smart, right, Billy?
Oh boy. I think Luke Duncan sent one of his people over here. MLF is old news. They tried and failed, in my opinion. KVD would have left if it wasn't for Johnny Morris and him being part owner of MLF. Well, then why hasn't Jacob Wheeler, Jordan Lee, Dustin Connell, Mark Daniels Jr.
Can we pull up the power rankings?
Sure. Let's do that. We were supposed to talk about that. I forgot all about it.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I didn't forget.
I did. I went right over it. I mean, why aren't all those guys leaving? If it's so horrible and it's old news and it's going to fail.
So this is, for those of you who don't know, bassfan.com has a power ranking, a world ranking on fishermen. They do it every year. What is going on? What just happened? It reloaded. Anyways, so let's talk about the power rankings.
This might be my favorite comment. Kaepernick run the NFL. Democrats run the country. Urban Tennessee run country music. Man, that's awesome. That's a great freaking comment right there. Especially the Urban Tennessee running country music. Shots fired. LOL.
No. Look at the other comment. We are just jacking with you, I promise.
Yes, 100%.
Okay. So
no, I mean MLF. I don't think anybody could say it's over. It's not done. Like it just started, and they do still have light years better resume on their anglers than anything that's ever existed. Like the resume of their fishermen is so much better than any other tour that's ever existed,
and it's not even close for that.
No,
matter.
and I realize that the bass guys, everybody knows I'm a huge Patrick Walters fan. Guys like Patrick Walters are becoming obviously more legit, but as big of a fan as I am of Patrick Walters, and I think he will be one of our he has potential to be one of our all-time anglers. I really think he does. I think he's got everything he needs. I think he's got the drive. I think he's got it. The reality is right now, he's not Ott Defoe.
Yeah, he's not.
Right now, he's not Jordan Lee or Jacob Wheeler.
That's right.
Or Greg Hackney, Kevin Van Dam, Kelly G. He's not those guys. Mm-hmm. He might be someday.
Let's look at some key takeaways from this deal.
Okay, so let's see.
The obvious.
The top five, 4 of the top 5 anglers in the world on Bass Fan on their world rankings. 4 of the top 5 are on Bass Pro Tour.
And then
it's Jacob Wheeler, Justin Lucas, Brandon Polnick, Jordan Lee, and Ott Defoe.
And then 7 out of the top 10 are MLF guys, PPT guys.
Yeah, so to say the MLF is over, just I realize you're probably poking us a little bit there, but I think that's this is lowest budget.
So key
actually live.
Yeah, the lowest.
Not low budget live, not so live. If it was the other one, then we would probably agree with the MLF is over deal. But on this podcast, we don't really see it that way.
When we're talking about lowest, we're not even the dirt on the floor.
Show them the picture again.
We're not even the dirt on the floor.
No.
We're like the laminate that whenever you sweep it, that little residue on the top of the laminate that comes off, like that's where we are. That's how low we are. We're the lowest of the budgets.
But yeah, we pull the picture up again. Bass Pro Tour is Big Five, right? Well, they own they can call it whatever they want to. It's the FLW Tour.
That's right.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
So this is our camera stand. That's my iPhone 6 that has a busted screen, and that is a pocket knife and a country crock dish with a can of dip behind there to hold the camera up in place. That's our fancy. This is our budget. It's a busted iPhone 6. It's I don't know how many years old, and a pocket knife and a country crock for a camera stand. But we are actually live.
Yeah, but what I did though is I went
Bunch of low ballers.
I went and bought a prepaid phone card before this, so that way I could actually take this picture and pull all these websites up. But I didn't start it till halfway through the podcast.
Nice.
Yeah, so I still got like 14 minutes on my phone.
That's a little triple P. That's proper prior planning, my man.
That's right.
I approve
That's
this
right.
message.
So key takeaways from this list: Justin Lucas just made it to number 2.
Bro.
Come on.
Bro.
Come on.
Hodgson is killing it tonight. He's killing it. He says the white froth in the corner of the mouth when you're really thirsty, that's us.
Yes.
Nailed it. Nailed it.
I couldn't have said that better if I did acid like Dr. Seuss.
Oh my God.
That's pretty impressive stuff right there.
I don't know why that one got me. That one got me good.
We just grabbed his giggle stick and we shook it. That's funny.
Oh,
Justin
man.
Lucas, according to bassfan.com, is now the number 2 angler in the world.
Yes.
Come on, Justin Lucas.
Which that surprises me a little bit. Like, I don't know.
That was so we were going.
I know he's been good, but like,
Yeah,
why?
we were talking about some of these beforehand, and we were kind of going, "What?" Like we were gonna kind of dog bassfan.com a little bit, and
We were gonna
take.
go in on bass. Look, we can still, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean,
Jacob Literally, obviously.
what else are we
number
gonna
one.
do tonight?
Yeah, for sure. We ain't got nowhere to be.
What else are we gonna do
We ain't
tonight?
got no job.
I literally don't because I don't have a boat right now. I had to borrow a boat to go to Rayburn and pre-fish.
Hey,
Yeah,
it is a slick rig.
it's a nice boat.
I like that
Ball
boat.
coach let me borrow his boat. He's a good man.
So, my boy, probably my favorite fisherman, Brandon Polinick, he number 3.
Here's what I gotta say about that. Never mind, I don't have anything to say. He probably is the best angler on Bassmaster Elite Series. As far as like what he's done in the past, what he's done now, recent
All
history, he's
resumes
won some
included,
events.
yes.
Yeah, he should be the highest ranked BASS guy. I agree with that.
Jordan Lee, number 4. Okay, fair.
I don't know how Jordan Lee is below Justin Lucas. Like, what has Justin Lucas done to put him above Jordan Lee?
I agree.
I don't understand that.
I'm talking about a top 5 for Jordan Lee. He absolutely belongs there. As far as Lucas being in front of him, I think I can pick.
I think you got to switch those two around.
I was going to say I can pick at least 2 guys.
I mean, we're nitpicking.
Yeah, for sure.
There's much worse things we can talk about on here. Let's
and
go.
we'll get to it.
Let's go.
And we'll get to it.
We going.
So Gussie at 12,
Just because he won recently.
I get it.
And he's been very consistent.
MDJ at 10.
Listen, we love MDJ.
Yes.
Big fans of MDJ. But what has he won?
Yeah. What
has he actually won?
So-
I know he had the big day at Fork last year, but he didn't end up winning the tournament. What has he won?
So what I think is going on here, I think their point system, the way they accrue it, I think top 5s and top 10s
carry a lot of weight?
carry a whole lot of weight.
Okay.
From the sounds of it, because that's
Maybe
the only
that's
way.
what we need to do is just look into how their scoring is.
Yeah, because I don't know. We're the lowest budget, dude. We're not gonna dig.
We ain't got a research department. We ain't got no budget for no research around here.
Yeah. Our scientists ain't doing nothing. Brent Ayler at 16. How was
3 years ago.
How was Brent Ayler in front of Greg Hackney? And believe me, I'm a Brent Ayler fan.
3 years ago, Brent Ayler's there.
Right.
Why is he at 16 now? Like, how much past history? This is supposed to be the current world rankings.
I want to know how far back they're going.
Has Ayler even been relevant in a tournament the last couple of years?
He's made a couple championship rounds in cup events.
But in like a real tournament,
Right.
has he even been relevant in any of them? Not, I mean, maybe. I'm sure there was one where he was in the top 10, but I don't remember it off the top of my head. Like, he didn't threaten to win the thing, I don't think, you know?
We got Sprague at 18, which I will say, as far as average finish, Sprague has been there.
And in Hackney,
I just don't understand why Hackney's that low.
being below Sprague and Bobby Lane and Mark Rose and Fred Roombanis and even Brent Ayler, like, why is he below all those guys? I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't. How is Scott Canterbury at 28?
Agreed. That was the one that we blew
That
up on.
guy
earlier.
wins everything.
Yeah.
I mean, not everything, but he did win an Angler of the Year recently, and he just won a FLW. It's an FLW tournament. That's what it is. It's just what it's going to be called in this podcast.
That's right. We're calling it FLW.
Big Five. I don't know. It's probably they probably didn't want to change the name. They literally changed the name probably because of legal licensing stuff.
Had to have been.
Because why would they want to change the name? I don't think they wanted to change the name.
Yeah. Go down to last year's AOY.
Where is he?
Oh, he's in the.
I can't
he's
find
in the 40s, 47.
Clark Winlet just won Angler of the Year on the Bassmaster Elite Series, and he is ranked 47th in the world on this list.
Why?
I can't even take this list seriously now. Like, I cannot take a list like that seriously if you're going to have the current best bass fisherman on earth and the Angler of the freaking year on the one of, if not, arguably the biggest. I mean, I think the roster's tougher at Bass Pro Tour, but Bass ain't far behind. Like, they're right there.
Right.
And
Big Sean just killed me with that. He said I'm in the top 200.
I can't take a list seriously that ranks the reigning Angler of the Year on one of the biggest tours in the world, 47th.
Yeah.
I can't take this seriously as a current ranking of.
How is Frank Talley ahead of Clark Winlet?
Turn that thing off. Bass fan, you're done. Like, that is stupid.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Frank Talley.
Yeah.
He won a tournament.
Yeah.
Clark Winlet has a track record, has multiple AOYs, and just won one last year, dude.
Yeah.
Like, in the past, he's won multiple AOYs on FLW Tour. Like, he used to win all the time. He used to be definitely one of the world's best. Now he's back in bass fishing, and he wins an Angler of the Year, and they're going to rank him 47th?
Behind Jake Whitaker, Hunter Schreck.
Who is Jake Whitaker? Who is that? I don't even know who Jake Whitaker is.
I mean, they got Jason Christie with a Y on here. I'm just kidding.
No,
he still hadn't caught a fish.
Jason Christie with a Y still hasn't caught a fish. IE's probably up there somewhere. Where's he at? Surely he's up here.
He's got to be up here.
Surely he's up here.
I'll find him.
Find him.
I will find him.
Big John says, I'm in the top 200 TikTok fishermen in the world.
I was laughing at.
That's
74.
great.
Jason Christie, 74. No way.
Jason Christie. You shut up right now. Is he literally ranked 74th on this list?
74th.
Right next to Luke Palmer and Shane LaHue.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Bro.
They got Chad Pipkins way down there, too. I think Chad Pipkins should be ranked.
Look where Swindle is.
Where is Swindle? Yeah, Swindle's way down there, too. 91st.
Honestly, though,
He didn't
even qualify for the Classics.
No, I mean,
he's had a tough time last
like
couple
that's
years.
that
actually makes sense.
That's a legitimate pick.
Mike Iaconelli's not even tournament fishing anymore, and he's 95th. He don't even tournament fish. I guess he could still be ranked on the best anglers in the world, though. Technically, you could. I mean, I can see that.
Hold on, there was another one I saw on here that had me just kind of.
John Hodson said some window licking helmet wearing nobody is running it. Talking about the list.
Yeah.
Are they pulling the standings from MLF?
Well,
man, I don't know. Maybe Johnny Morris owns this too, or MLF owns this too. Maybe Boyd Duckett owns Bass Fan. I don't know.
Well, I can tell you.
I mean, that could be a thing. I don't know.
I can tell you who doesn't own it. Profound Outdoors, because Timmy Horton's number 133. Get some of that.
Shots fired.
Dean Ross way down there too.
Yeah. There's some guys down there way
Ishama.
down there. Yeah, Ish.
Keith Poche way down there.
Yeah, he's been pretty good.
He's been decent.
He's been relevant in some events the last couple of years, and he's at 140 something.
Creep the same way Creep's been. He's been more. Look at Tom Mansour. Come on.
Is he alive?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm just kidding. Sorry, that was a bad joke.
Kelly Jordan at 153.
That was a
boycott.
Yeah.
I'm boycotting.
Kelly Jordan's way too nice to this channel to be at 153.
Yeah, there's no way.
No, this is nonsense.
That is ridiculous.
I think we can quit. I mean, that list is garbage, dude. The caveat, the big deal of all of it is Clark Winlet.
Yeah.
You win Angler of the Year. You've won multiples in the past. You just won Angler of the Year in November, and you're 47th in the world?
Yeah, there's no way.
That you were just the best in the world, but now you're 47th in the world. That's not possible.
Yeah, and they absolutely disrespected Paul Elias because I don't care what he's done ever, but what he did on Falcon deserves much better.
He should always be in the top 100.
Yeah,
forever.
Yeah, forever. Doesn't even matter.
Forever.
Doesn't even matter. King Clun at 198. Stop it.
That is the stupidest thing. Oh my god.
I'm turning it off.
Turn it off right now. That might be worse than the Clark Winlet deal there.
Yeah.
Definitely Biden. That's a Democrat-owned operation there, guaranteed.
Well, the only reason I don't think it was Joe Biden, every name was spelled right.
Oh my god. He had a staffer do it, bro. He had a staffer do it.
We're going to circle back to that. We're going to circle back to that.
There's our 10 seconds in liberal tears for the night. Folks at home, we got to include one of those
so
most of the time.
The big takeaways from tonight, bassfan.com is garbage.
They used Dominion for the ranking count. Oh you guys are crushing it tonight.
I love it.
Crushing it tonight in the comments.
Circle back. Let's go.
What? We circle back?
So there. Yeah, I'll tell you about that.
Oh, well, that's an off air deal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, one of the...
I'm out of the loop, folks. I'm out of the loop. I can't wait to get in the loop, though. I'm excited to hear this one.
Yeah, that's the old interview.
Please, more than 10 seconds.
Yeah.
They want more liberal tears, Chris.
So the chief of staff on interviews, they'll ask her a question, and she'll go, "Yeah, we're going to circle back to that." And everything, and we're going to circle back to that. We're going to circle back to that.
What is this guy that I don't even know what he is. You know who I'm talking about. The dude that's like dresses like an old woman, looks like an old woman.
Yeah.
And he's on his he's in his cab. What is his position? Secretary of something or another.
Yeah, I cannot remember what it is.
Secretary of Health and Education or something. I don't know.
The memes, like if you don't,
bro, how in the world? Listen, that guy couldn't get hired for a professional job at an office in Dallas with the way he looks.
No.
But we're gonna put him in charge of something on a national level?
Yeah, we got a guy that looks like that.
How are we gonna put him on TV? Like, it's just a ploy. Like, the bottom line is, in the rest of the real world, here you go, here's some more liberal tears. In the rest of the real world, like, you can't go have a face tattoo and expect to get good jobs.
That's right.
You can't be an old man that dresses like an old woman and expect to get good jobs. You have to carry yourself with some type of professional look. And this guy comes in talk about looking like he's doing some acid. Like, this guy looks, I think he is Dr. Seuss. He's canceling himself or whatever. I don't know. But
Canceling.
This guy, there's no way he should be put on television in a professional capacity representing this country. No way. No way. It's insane, man. It's just, the whole world is going freaking nuts, dude.
It's crazy.
Like, I've been going back and forth in my own head about this, about everything that's going on in the world and how I view it and see it. And I'm like, am I just becoming an old man, or is it getting worse? And I try to look at things like this with a very I try to remove my bias from it, because obviously we all have our own biased opinions. We can talk about being nice and understanding of each other all we want to, but every one of us, including all these stupid liberals that act like it's wrong to be biased, you have bias too.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally heard Joe Rogan say that people that voted for Trump were less educated. Mm-hmm. That the Trump voters were just the less educated people. Excuse me?
Yeah.
60-something million Americans are less educated? 70 million Americans, what it was? Are less educated? Like, half the country's dumb?
Don't get me started on Joe Rogan.
Bro, like...
You literally ran from a liberal melting pot to...
Comes to Texas...
To the greatest state in the country,
yes.
In my opinion. In, I think, everybody's opinion, honestly. Like, I'm biased.
Well, there's a reason why they're all moving here.
Yeah, that's right. But you're going to come here and you're going to say stuff like that? Like, what?
I try to remove myself, my bias from when I'm thinking about stuff like this, because I feel like it's important to have a good perspective on this when you're trying to decide what you want to stand for, right?
That's right.
Like, I've got certain things that I've got to represent to my children, and I feel obligated to stand for things.
Correct.
I don't ever remember, like, there's always been, like, the city people and the country people, and they didn't agree on everything. Like, that's always been there.
Mm-hmm.
But there's never been as wide of a separation. Like, never been as wide of a separation as what there is.
I just saw.
I mean, the culture that exists in these cities now, bro. I go to the DFW area once in a great while, and when I go there, I feel like I'm in a different country.
Yeah, for sure. Dallas is bad. Austin is worse.
Houston ain't no different.
Yep.
It's
That ain't no joke right there. Society has lost common sense and thinking.
the only thing I can think of is we've got a real bad issue with this. Is social media is a good thing overall, in my opinion. Just like we talked about with fishing, I think overall social media is a good thing. It connects people, it gives people inroads, opens doors for people opportunity-wise. It did for me. But there's a real problem with social media, and I think it's the echo chamber theory, where because of the way social media works, whatever it is that you like, that's what it shows you. If you don't like it, it doesn't. If you don't look at it, it doesn't show it to you.
Yeah, they've got those algorithms
So
dialed
you
down.
either everything you see on social media is either something you love or something you hate.
Yeah, it's never in the middle.
And so what that does is that you get affirmation on your own opinions, and it makes you think that the entire world agrees with you. And then when you see something that you absolutely hate that gets your attention, it increases the divide between you and that other viewpoint.
Correct.
And so everybody's just going around thinking the whole world agrees with them and that they're absolutely right. And then there becomes this big divide and this big hatred between everybody. When in reality, man, we all just want to be as successful and comfortable and enjoy life as much as possible and take care of, most of us want to have a family, but we want to take care of the people that we love, and we want to be comfortable and we want to have fun and enjoy every day. That's what we want. That's what everybody wants, whether you're a liberal or a conservative or whatever. It doesn't matter where you fall. You want your loved ones to be well off, and you want to enjoy every day you can.
That's right.
That's what we're all trying to do. So why are we so mad at each other because we disagree on how we should go about doing it?
Because Mr. Potato Head was a he.
And Dr. Seuss dropped an acid pill.
Yeah. It's crazy. Crazy.
Yeah.
Speaking of bass fishing.
Nick Stanislaus says, if we don't take away cancel culture, we are screwed. We have lost freedom of speech, feelings over facts. I don't know who we is, but it ain't me. And I'll tell you this, they can throw me under the jail. They can kill me dead in the doornail. They will never take away my freedom of speech. They can take away this platform if they want to. They can take away whatever platform for me they want to. But, like I said, I believe in standing for things, and I will never, ever, ever allow them to take away my freedom of speech or anybody that I care about or love. Not going to happen. Can't do it. You can kill me. You can bury me under jail, but you ain't going to stop me from having freedom of speech. I'll pay the price. That's the deal. Will you pay the price? Most people probably won't. Honestly, most people probably won't pay the price when it comes down to something like that if it got to that bad point. Eventually, a group will. Mm-hmm. And, that's where this is going. The road we're on now ends in a conflict that is going to be ugly if we don't reassess what we're doing here and get some real leaders that have other people than themselves as a priority. If we don't start electing people that want to serve others and not serve themselves, if we don't get these career politicians the heck out of Dodge and start electing people that want to serve the public and self-sacrifice for the public, if we don't start electing those type of people, this ends in a bad conflict that will be very ugly for this country.
That's right.
We have to.
Speaking of fishing, did I mention that I'm going to Fork this weekend, guys? And I'm really excited.
We do still have that, my God.
Yeah, we still got Lake Fork. They can't take it from us.
Jamie Smith says, you guys are awesome. Love y'all. Thank you. Says one more thing. They're not getting my guns or my fishing poles. Hell no, they ain't. Nah. They ain't getting my speech, my guns, my fishing poles. None of that. None of that.
They can have my spinning rods, but they can't.
Yeah. We'll give them the spinning rods. We will give them the spinning rods.
I thought you gave all your spinning rods to the snowman.
Yeah, the coldest fisherman in the game.
That's right. He's got ice in his veins. Y'all bring your butts out to Lake Fork this weekend.
Wherever you're going,
to go down.
Go fish hard, man. It's time. It's that time of year.
I'm ready.
It's that time of year, man.
So pumped.
Let's get it. I'm ready. I'm gonna get my new boat on Tuesday. Hopefully, at this point, I don't want to say I will because it's been such a fiasco trying to get it. But
So now that you get new boats all the time, how much do you dread the break-in process? Or do you like the break-in?
No, it sucks.
Okay.
It sucks real bad to go for 3 hours. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But it just has to be done, you know.
So what do you do? Do you just go idle around the dam on Fork, pretty much?
I just go up and down the boat lane.
Do you?
What boat am I getting? A FXR20, a 2021 FXR20. Custom ordered, custom colored, one of a kind.
Wait till y'all see this joker. It's clean.
Lowrance electronics on the console. I got a Lowrance active target and a Humminbird 360 on the bow. I got a Lowrance Ghost trolling motor, 2 power pole blades, all linked up, tuned up, fired up. I get to turn my transducer independently in my trolling motor because Nautical Mile hooked it up on a special mount for that for me. And he sent me a picture of the mount on all the electronics. And, you know, I've got 2 poles besides my trolling motor going into the water up front. And it's all rigged up to the trolling motor, but it's all independent at the same time. They did an awesome bang-up job on that. So kudos to Nautical Mile as always, man. They kill it for me down there. Joe and them guys over there that do all the rigging and the service. I wouldn't want anybody else touching my boat. Joe does such an amazing job.
I will say that this boat that you're getting right here is probably my favorite color scheme. And the only other one that would be a close second would be the first bright red one.
You like the red and white one. Not the red and silver one. The red and silver was first. You like the red and white one better.
I like the red and white one.
Yeah.
The second boat, sorry.
Second boat, yeah.
Yeah, this one's clean. They're
This
real
one's
clean.
pretty nice.
Yeah. I got a...
You got to see the picture first.
Yeah, I was driving home from work one day and I get a video and I'm like, I called Billy and I'm like, can I watch this in front of people? Because you never know. He might send a funny video to me.
What?
You know the funny Facebook videos?
Yeah,
we
no,
used to see?
I'm not going to lie. Okay, that's,
Yeah.
I'll try to act like a good guy. I'm like, no,
like,
that's kind of possible.
I'm like, can I watch this in public? And he's like, yeah, dude, it's my new boat. I'm like, oh, okay. So I look at it and, whew,
yeah,
that,
she looked good.
that accent color, you did good.
She looked good.
You done good.
8-foot or 10-foot poles. I use 8-foot poles. I use 8-foot poles. Now, especially with spot lock, I don't really see. It's nice to have the 8-footers for shallow water, but now with spot lock, I don't really see the point in the 10-footers anymore. I think spot lock eliminated the need for a 10-foot power.
Did you get the new, the Raptors?
Or no power poles?
Oh, you got power poles?
I mean, the Raptors might be great. They're just brand new. I mean, I'm sure they're gonna have problems or whatever. And power poles are the most dependable thing ever.
Yeah.
And if anything breaks, power pole takes care of it. It's no question. So, power pole's a great company. Love having power poles.
So power pole's pretty much like the Nautical Mile Marine mechanic side.
They're pretty good.
Pretty good.
I mean, if anything breaks, they don't ask you any questions. They just send you the parts you need and
awesome.
you get it fixed. It's great. They back their product really, really well. Really well. Man, I think we go ahead and wrap it up, dude. We've been going a long
We've been going a while.
time. We're pushing 2 hours here pretty soon, so it's been a long podcast. And it's been a fun one, though. It's been a good one.
Yeah.
We got to talk a lot. Really didn't have a lot to talk about other than a little bit of tournament stuff and just current conditions, but I guess we all got so excited it just went from there.
Dude, I'm like, I don't know if
I don't even know what just happened the last couple of hours.
Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned it, but like, I'm excited to go fishing this weekend on Lake Fork.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get to fish that pond near as much as I used to.
It's a good week to go. There's no doubt about it,
Yep.
man. Good week to go. Amos Fox says, hope to see your top 5 this Thursday. Got a little bit of money left to spend on base. Yeah, I apologize for not having very much, basically almost no content out over the last week. I was out of town at Rayburn. I've had a lot of stuff in life going on off the water. It has been very time-consuming and very distracting, we'll just say that. So I appreciate you guys bearing with me on that. We're going to try to get the content back up and flowing like normal. It's been a tough couple of weeks for you, boy. It really, really has. So, but hey, it's all looking up from here. New boat Tuesday, tournament this coming weekend. Hopefully we don't suck. Yeah, it's that time of year, man. It's going down, and I'm glad to get everything back rolling the way it's supposed to finally. It's been like the longest 2 weeks of my entire life. So I'm really, really happy that we're going to get it going back the right direction. So thank y'all all for joining us tonight. You guys killed it. The comments were amazing tonight.
Some of like, I started laughing. They're great.
Great time tonight. Really enjoyed it, Chris. Thanks as always. You guys rock the house. Chris, do that thing you do.
I'm going to Lake Fork this weekend.
He's still going to Lake Fork?
I'm still going.
He's still going to Lake Fork.
Still going to Lake Fork this weekend.